Okay.
Okay. There's a good possibility that Zach is going to be on the Outland Trophy watch list in a couple of weeks.
He should be.
Tell me about Tell me about him and why he should be, and what that would mean to the university.
Well, being on a watch list is a little bit different than winning it or being a finalist, and I think we all understand that. But just for the public to feel like that he is at least in the conversation as one of the best centers in the country, I think is something that he's earned. He's the quarterback of our offensive line. He's a 3-year starter. He's a tough SOB. And oh, by the way, he's a really good player, and he's really smart too. So, I don't have any other superlatives other than to say that I think he's earned that distinction, at least to be in that conversation.
Staying with the offensive line, Coach, last year Calvin Anderson came in and really solidified the left tackle spot. Now you got Parker Braun coming in, could play left guard, right guard. Do you see the same kind of hopeful transition, kind of boosting the offensive line?
Yeah, I mean he's got to beat out at least one of Derek Kerstetter or Denzel Okafor, and let's again, he was not with us in the spring either. And so let's not forget the offensive system that he came in, and the things that he was or came from, and the things that he was being taught to and asked to do are completely different than a conventional offense like ours. So we feel like with his resume that he'll be able to do that, but the proof is in the pudding too. I mean it is like trying to learn another language, in 4 weeks. They got a Rosetta Stone for spread offense or whatever. But we hope so. We know that the physical tools are there. It's the technique and fundamentals that he's going to have to learn very, very quickly. We hope that he's able to pick that up, and if not, we feel good about the two guys that finished spring ball as well.
Coach, quick housekeeping one for my main question. Rashawn Samples, did he take another position at SMU?
He did, yes. We're a full-time position, actually. He'll be an on-the-field, full-time, one of the 10 assistant coaches, on-the-road recruiter. So we're extremely proud of him.
Okay, to Sam. Obviously, you've had him since day one. Can you just give me your thoughts on his progression, where he was before, where he's at now, and almost what you're expecting of him going forward?
Yeah, I mean, y'all cover football. I mean, y'all kind of see the same things that we saw from his freshman to his sophomore year. It's funny, and we laugh, but I think that there is. I'm trying to organize my thoughts here. So when Sam was a freshman, the offense, he didn't have a great grasp of the offense. The defenses were moving extremely fast, and it was just in survival mode, right? And so fast forward to his sophomore year, and he's got all the intangibles, has a great off season, and then the Maryland game happens, and we decide that we're going to stick with him, and he thanked us for that. He in fact told me that gave me a ton of confidence because he knew what had happened his freshman year. He knew he threw a pick in the fourth quarter against Texas Tech, and we lost that game. He threw a pick in the end zone against Oklahoma State, and we lost that game. He fumbled on the goal line against USC, and we lost that game. And then all of a sudden Maryland happens, and it's like, any human being, there would be some sense of self-doubt. And by us saying, we believe in you, I think that went a long way. And so he got better protecting. It sounds oxymoronic, but he got better protecting the football when he was more aggressive thrower. And when you're a tentative thrower, it's just the ball, you have no control over the ball. And there were certain games and certain practices or whatever where I would challenge him and say, man, just fit that in. You can fit that in. You have that throw in your bag. You've got that. And I think when you do that then and you're not afraid to throw interceptions, guess what happens? You don't throw interceptions. And you go 10 straight games without doing it, and you set the record in this conference that's known for quarterbacks of most pass attempts without throwing an interception. And then I think this year, two areas of improvement I see. One is intangible. He's doing a lot more leading of the defense, being more of a team leader than just the leader of the offense. And then tangible, mechanical, he's working really hard. Some of the new RPOs that we're putting in, the ball's got to spit out really fast, and that has not been a strong suit of his. I go back to Shane Buechele had one of the prettiest non-conventional arm slot, arm angle, whatever you want to call it, way to get it out of the ball or get the ball out of his hands. He had that kind of baseball shortstop turn two deal when he was throwing those quick RPOs, and so Sam really, really worked this offseason to try to improve that. I know he's going to go into fall camp to do the same, to continue to improve that. So he's still got work to do, but the sky's the limit for him.
Tom, do I have the dates right here? Did you recruit Jalen Hurts when you were still coaching at Houston?
I did, yep.
What did you like about him as a high school prospect at the time, and how much were you guys after him, or how involved were you in that race at the moment?
Well, we kind of changed a lot of perceptions at Houston. Jalen was one of the top dual threat quarterbacks in the country, but he was a local kid, and we felt like, with Ed Oliver, with some of these high profile local guys choosing to stay home, that we might have a chance. But it was apparent pretty early on that he had bigger fish to fry, and he's a coach's kid. You love that about him, and he's tough, and he could run, and he was just extremely productive and had good measurables.
Do you have a quarterback who's like him in a way, that bigger and kind of tough to bring down? What do you like about having a guy that always has the ball in his hands that can be tough to tackle, and how's that difficult for a defense as a defense?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to feel it when you tackle Sam Ehlinger, just like I'm sure you feel it when you tackle Jalen Hurts. And, you can use him in short yardage and goal line when the box is so compact, and the defense, really, if you're handing the ball off to the tailback, they've got two extra people right there standing on the line of scrimmage. Where if you let your quarterback run it from time to time, you've got one. And so I think those are the two biggest advantages, is that guys kind of bounce off of him at times when he's in the open field or even in the pocket, and then you steal a blocker in short yardage and goal line should you choose to. Hopefully we can be good enough up front and at tailback that we won't need him near as much on goal line and short yardage. But I'm sure there's going to be some games where we don't overmatch or overpower people that we might need him, and he's proven he can do that.
Coach, this morning the director of officiating talked about the upside down horns rule, and said that they were going to be taking a closer look at it this year. It's still a judgment call, but his advice to the other team was, if you want to do upside down horns, go behind your bench and do it. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's interesting that it's actually kind of flattering that we're on so many other people's minds, that They've got to continue to use that disrespectful hand symbol. And then as far as it being a penalty, as long as it's officiated fairly and evenly throughout the season, then that's not up to me. That's a NCAA/Big 12 officials issue. But taunting is taunting, and our guys are reprimanded very harshly if we ever get called for a taunting penalty, because there's no place for taunting in football, and so whether that is or isn't taunting, that's not for me to decide.
Tom, coming off the year you had last year, making it to this Big 12 title game, doing what you did in the Sugar Bowl, does winning a Big 12 title feel close? Yeah,
it does. I mean, we were a couple quarters away from it last year, and so it is close. And hopefully, if we do our part and get to the game this year, then we'll have a chance and be even closer to win it. But again, we've got to worry about so many other things before we worry about a Big 12 championship. That for a team that prides itself on 1-0, my biggest concern right now is that we have the best Big Squat Wednesday tomorrow at 6 a.m. in our weight room and go 1-0 on Wednesday, July 17th. I could care less about the Big 12 title game, the who we play week 2. I know everybody wants to talk about that, and none of that matters. My biggest concern right now for this football team is tomorrow.
But I guess after the season, when you look back on things, when you think about that Big 12 title, how will that factor into the barometer of if the season was a success or not?
It won't. We internally, because success has many different definitions and has many different circumstances that can affect that. If I'm trying to think of an example. What if injuries is a big one. If half our starting O-line goes out, is winning 10 games but coming up short in the title game a failure? I don't know. I don't know how the season's going to play out. I don't know what success is, but I know this: if we play our best and we're healthy, that our best is good enough to play with and or beat anybody in the country, and we'll take it from there.
It's hard to quantify what L.J. Humphrey meant to the offense last year. How are you going to replace?
Is that transcribing verbally right now? Is it accurate?
For the most part.
This is the future, Tom.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of work
I think
there.
it was.
You use it too?
I didn't invent it. I wish I had.
Yeah.
Probably make a lot more work.
That's just cutting edge all
I
the
know.
time, man. But replacing
It's that athletic money is what it is. You guys are rolling in dough over there.
But trying to replace the production of L.J. Humphrey, you got Josh Moore, Jake Smith, and a handful of other guys. It's hard to quantify how important he was on that offense. How do you replace that?
Probably by committee. Josh and Jake are much different skill sets than LJ was, and we took a lot of pride in the way that we adapted our offense to get him on the field. We're used to that. I mean, that's where the name of the position, the H, came from. It was a hybrid kind of running back receiver position, and it was a guy that you could motion in the backfield and hand speed sweeps to and throw bubbles to and all that. And LJ was good at finding soft spots in zones and big body and safeties and linebackers, and so we'll have to adapt again that position. But hopefully some of the production can be picked up by the tailbacks. I think we've got our 2 starting tailbacks are as good a pass catching tailbacks as I've been around. So getting them out in space will be a good thing. Obviously Colin's going to get his touches. We got to get the Z receiver a little bit more involved, and Duvernay and Brennan Eagles, and but I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's not like we're going to just lose the 1,000 yards that he had. You know, I mean, we'll find a way to make it up somehow. Now, what that looks like, I don't know, especially because we have some newcomers like Jake and like Braden Liebrock and some guys like that we don't even know what they can do for us yet.
How important do you believe the bond between a head coach and your quarterback is when you're trying to establish this sustainable culture for any program, really, actually?
I think as long as there is a bond between one of the two, the head coach or the offensive coordinator. You know, I thought Major Applewhite and Greg Ward Jr. had an incredible bond that I did not really try to interfere with, to be honest with you. And Greg and I have a great relationship, but not the bond that him and Major had, you know, and here for whatever reason, you know, Sam and myself have gravitated towards each other, and we do have a great bond. So I think it's one of the, you know, at Ohio State, you know, when I was coaching the quarterbacks, we had a tremendous bond. So I think as long as it's one or the other, then you're on the right track.
How would you just generally describe your relationship with Sam?
Probably mutually respectful yet mutually frustrated. There are times when he certainly frustrates me, and I'm sure I frustrate him, but we respect the heck out of each other. I would want that guy in my foxhole any day of the week on you know, whatever cliche you want to use, you know, in a bar fight, whatever it is. I want that guy by my side in times of adversity, and but we do butt heads at times, but I think that's a testament to how much I trust him and how much I believe in his maturity level, that we can quite literally argue on the headset during a game, and then we're hugging after the game. You know, I mean, it's kind of, it's hard to explain, but it's fun. I like him because he can be every bit as sarcastic as myself, and he can take a good ribbing.
You talk a lot about recruiting families, and although you didn't recruit them, I'm sure you had to deal with the Johnson family, with Johnny and Kirk and Colin. What is both Colin and Kirk, how does their passion for the university benefit this team? And then also, what's it like working with a family like that who are just so gung-ho for the university?
Yeah, he's in Johnny in the College Football Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a College Football Hall of Famer as a dad, 9-year NFL vet, and, you know, and oh, by the way, one of his, you know, both his kids play for you. One of them has got a chance to be a first-round draft pick, and it's hard to put into words. I got to be honest with you. I mean, it's nirvana when it comes to parent-coach relationship in terms of a family that bleeds burnt orange from the top down. Don't forget their sister also runs track here too. So it is very deep-seated passion in that household, and you know, we haven't. The really cool thing about the Johnson family is we talk about a lot of things. We talk quite often. We never talk about playing time, you know, and he leaves that up to his sons, and it's just been they've been a joy to be around these last few years.
And then for Kirk and Colin, just them working, is it, you see the same thing with them that you see from their dad?
Oh yeah, I mean there's a handful of guys on our team, you know, Sam Ehlinger being one, and the Johnson brothers being a couple more that, you know, when you grow up literally wearing burnt orange pajamas, you know, it means something just a little bit more for you to to win and succeed at the place where you've always dreamed of playing at.
Who are you going to be your defensive playmakers this year? You know.
Say it again.
Who are your defensive playmakers going to be?
I hope all of them.
11 of them.
You know, Joe Osai has proven that he can certainly make plays up front. I would think, you know, Malcolm has that kind of ability and experience being disruptive. And then, I mean, we've got some really good safeties. I mean, really talented safeties that can run and hit. And Caden Stearns, Brandon Jones, B.J. Foster, even Chris Brown had a great spring. You know, I mean, DeMarvion Overshawn. I mean, what are we talking about? I mean, there's some, you know, and again, that's where me and Todd Orlando, we continue to have discussions of, you know, you got to play with at least 3 down linemen. You got to play with 2 corners. And that's 5 people. So let's figure out a way to get the other 6 best guys on the field. If that's 6 safeties, it's 6 safeties. If it's 4 linebackers, 2 safeties, so be it. If it's 3 and 3, so be it. But let's figure out a way to get our playmakers, as you said, on the field. And that's still a work in progress. Obviously, we tinkered and toyed with some different personnel packages in the spring, but you know, we'll hone in on a few here in the fall.
But you weren't satisfied with your defense last year, especially in the fourth quarter, I would assume.
That's a fair assumption.
Yeah. So, what do you fix from that angle? Fourth quarter, is there any conditioning problem? Or
Fourth quarter? Oh,
I mean, you gave up a
no.
lot of
I think.
you know.
Yeah, I think part of it was the offense's fault for being a little too conservative and not making first downs. And giving the ball back quite frequently in the fourth quarter. So I don't think the blame can be pinned all on the defense. And, you know, we had considerable leads. You know, you want to say, well, Georgia scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. I know. Well, you're up 21 with 10 minutes to go. If you're not playing some form of bend don't break defense, and they do throw an 80-yard bomb on you, then who's the idiot now, you know? So you know, we've got to get better in those bend don't break moments of still keeping the ball in front of us, yet preventing them from making first downs and touchdowns.
Coaches, you have to replace 9 starters, you know, on defense. But my question to you is, you know, Oklahoma over the past 4 years has been able to win the conference without having an elite defense. Is this a conference where if you have an elite offense, that can make up for the lack of having an elite defense?
I mean, yeah. I mean, they've proven that, right? I don't think you can win a national championship without a above average to elite defense. And I'm not. I mean, there's a lot to be excited and optimistic about defensively. You know, when you look at, I get that there needs to be stats for returning starters and not returning starters and all of that, but you know, Jeffrey McCulloch's played a lot of football for Texas. He's not a returning starter, but he's got a lot of experience. Joseph Osai led the team in tackles against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. He's got a lot of experience. Malcolm Roach is not considered a returning starter. He's got a lot of experience. You know, Taquan Graham has played a lot of football for Texas. Even Gerald Wilbon at nose has played a lot of football for Texas. And so really the only 3 positions that you're going to see truly fresh faces are the 2 corners, 2 corner positions and the middle linebacker. And so we're not too concerned with returning starters now. Do we wish they were all returning starters? And you know, yeah, we do. But you know, there's still a lot of experience there. But I don't Yeah, I do. I mean, the answer is yes, because Oklahoma's proven it. But I think that proposition is risky, and I certainly don't want to speak for them, but I think they would certainly like to be better on defense. I don't think that they're satisfied with where they're at.
Coach, going into your third year with Sam, how does the preparation go or change going into camp now that you know he's your starting quarterback?
Well, they don't get hit, in practice, so there's not a whole lot of change. He's still got to get his reps, but I think what will be different in the previous 2 years, I mean, if you think about it, both years we had, literally split the reps 50-50 between Sam and Shane, where now it'll be probably 65-35, or maybe, 65-25-10 with Roshan being the 10%. But we haven't talked a whole lot about that, but Sam's going to need his reps, and when you go, the last time you threw a pass against 11 defenders with shoulder pads on was April 13th. You got to go. I mean, that's why the pros practice too. I mean, Tom Brady's been doing this a long time. He still goes to practice and gets his reps in. So, but we do got to make sure that Casey and Roshan get quality reps as well.
Coach, the saying goes, coach-led teams are good, but player-led teams win titles. How close do you think this program is to being a player-led team?
Close. I do. I'm not ready to stamp it just yet, but I think it's as close as we've been since we've been here, for sure. And a big reason is those 5 guys sitting next to me. They're elite leaders. Elite, all of them. And there's a few more on my leadership council too that are pretty damn good. And so, when someone has a moment of weakness and doesn't toe the line or do something to our standard, when a teammate beats a coach to the discipline or to the scolding, if you will, that's pretty cool, and that happens quite a bit with this team. And that's not to say that we, as coaches, we've got our feet propped up and we're just let them take the ball and run with it. We still got a job to do as well, and that's to make sure that that everything is running smoothly. But I coach the heck out of these guys and the other few guys on my leadership council, and that message gets disseminated, throughout the team.
Tom, I know you don't watch the SEC as much, but what have you thought of Jimbo's start with Texas A&M?
I don't know anything about it. I mean, I know he's a good coach. We played him in the Peach Bowl when I was at Houston, and he was at Florida State. But I couldn't even tell you the record last year. I think they did well and played in a bowl game.
And how do you feel about Les Miles joining the conference?
Oh, he's great. I mean, he's bringing another national championship to the conference. He's got a lot of pelts on the wall, that's for sure. He's fun to be around. In our head coaches meetings in April, he was quite vocal and had some strong opinions. And everybody, he's like E.F. Hutton, right? When Coach Miles talks, people listen because of the respect that we have for him, and the pelts on the wall that he has as a head coach.
Coach, you